We need new perspectives for our upcoming launch, she said during my dismissal. Someone who understands present market dynamics. My name is Tyler, 41 years old. I served as the lead product designer at Arc Form Outdoor Gear in Minneapolis for 7 years. Or at least I did, until that Thursday morning when Elena called me into her office. Heather from Human Resources was already seated. I had sensed it for months. Ever since Elena became creative director, she brought a glossy magazine vibe to our rugged, outdoor-focused brand. Everything I created, practical, durable, designed for real mountains, was suddenly considered outdated. Your work lacks the innovation we need moving ahead, Elena said, pushing the termination documents toward me with perfectly polished nails that had likely never held a climbing rope. I nodded, kept my expression neutral. 7 years of my designs had built this company's reputation among serious outdoor adventurers. The Pathfinder series backpacks? Mine. The modular jacket system that earned 2 Global Design Awards? Also mine. But none of that was relevant anymore. I thanked her for the critique, gathered my sketchbooks, unplugged my tablet, and walked out. What Elena didn't realize was that I'd been quietly assembling a portfolio on my own time. These were concepts Arcform had turned down, labeling them too experimental or misaligned with our target market. But I still had faith in them. Driving home, my phone buzzed with a message from Brian in product development. This place just made the worst mistake of its corporate life. I had learned design at my grandfather's workshop in Duluth. He crafted custom wooden canoes and taught me that function drives form. No wasted space, no unnecessary elements, just purpose made tangible. I carried that mindset through design school and into my career. When I joined Arcform, they were floundering. Solid products, but poorly executed designs. I rebuilt their visual identity from scratch. The CEO at that time, James, understood. Create things that work first. Make them look good second, he used to say. The folks who actually use our gear will recognize the difference. He was right. Within 3 years, our revenue had doubled. Outdoor lovers trusted the brand because our gear met real needs. The Pathfinder backpack evenly distributed weight so well that professional guides specifically requested it for long treks. The thermal shift jacket adjusted to temperature fluctuations without extra bulk, award-winning solutions born from real-world insight. Then James retired. The company brought in Vivian as CEO, and she hired Elena from the fashion world to revamp the brand image. Suddenly, meetings focused on visual aesthetics rather than performance metrics. My designs were scrutinized, then slowly phased out. The newer designers, mostly recent graduates with flashy digital portfolios but no actual field experience, began landing the key projects. 3 months ago, I submitted ideas for a new line of weather-resistant gear. Elena dismissed them as lacking inspiration. A week later, I watched her unveil nearly identical concepts to the executive team, crediting Justin, her new hire from a luxury fashion label. That night, I rang Thomas, an old friend who'd moved to Ridgeline Supply, Arcform's main competitor, where he worked as a materials expert. "How's your employment contract these days?" he asked after I told him everything. Non compete," he replied. James had believed such clauses were unethical. Thomas paused. Interesting. Very interesting. The severance package was generous. 3 months' salary and extended health care. A professional courtesy for 7 years of contribution. I signed the documents without resistance and drove home quietly. That afternoon, my apartment felt different, smaller, but strangely freer. I sat at my drafting table and laid out the sketches Elena had rejected over the past year. 12 collections in all, each one carefully designed, each addressing specific issues for serious outdoor users. Rain tapped on the window as I reviewed them. I realized I'd still been designing as if Arcform were the old company, one that prioritized reliability and endurance. But that company was gone, replaced by one chasing fads rather than solving problems. At 7 p.m., my phone rang. Melissa Hargrove, creative director at Ridgeline Supply. "Thomas says you're available," she said without preamble. "He also says you were the real brains behind Arc's golden era." I said nothing, just waited. "Got anything worth reviewing?" she continued. "We're building our fall collection. Could use some fresh direction. I looked at the pile of rejected designs. I might have a few concepts. Send them tonight. If they're solid, we'll talk. After we hung up, I spent 3 hours polishing 6 designs, refining the presentation, not altering the core ideas. At midnight, I emailed them to Melissa with concise notes describing each piece's functionality. Then I went to bed and slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I woke to Melissa's email. My office. 10 o'clock. Bring your contract expectations. I showered, dressed in my field jacket and boots, no business attire, and drove across town to Ridgeline's headquarters. The receptionist brought me straight to Melissa's office, a space packed with swatches and prototype gear, nothing like Elena's sleek, minimalist setup. Melissa motioned toward a corkboard where she had pinned all 6 of my designs. These tackle problems we've been trying to solve for 2 seasons, she said, especially this one. She pointed at the central concept in my collection, a modular, weather-adaptive system that preserved flexibility. How soon can you start? She asked. I'm available now. She gave a single nod. Good, because we're going to move quickly on these. Very quickly. For the first time since Elena had arrived at Arcform, I smiled. 1 week into my new role at Ridgeline, I received a call from Peter, Arcform's production manager. We had collaborated closely for years, solving manufacturing issues, finding the right balance between forward-thinking design and practical production. Tyler, this is off the record, he said in a hushed tone, but things are unraveling. Justin's designs look impressive in mock-ups, but they're a disaster in production. The materials don't flex the way he expects. The prototype backpacks are coming in 2 pounds heavier than specified. Not my issue anymore. I replied, though deep down, part of me still cared. Elena is claiming you left the team without proper documentation on your production procedures, Peter continued. She's telling upper management that you intentionally sabotaged the handover. That made me sit upright. That's a complete lie. I know, but she's persuasive. Vivian asked me if there was any truth to it. My blood chilled. This wasn't simply about moving on. Elena was actively trying to ruin my professional name. Against my better judgment, I emailed Vivian and requested a meeting to address the matter. She agreed to coffee the following morning. The cafe was crowded, which I figured would be a positive, neutral ground, a public setting. Vivian showed up 10 minutes late, already glancing at her watch. I'll be direct, I began. I've been told Elena is implying I left the team without proper documentation. That's false. All my files are fully organized in the shared drive, and I personally trained Justin on my workflow before I left. Vivian gave a slight nod, her expression unreadable. She said you might get defensive over this. Look, Tyler, the outdoor industry is small. I'd hate to see your reputation harmed over something avoidable. The threat was clear. Stay silent, or things would get difficult. I appreciate your concern. I responded carefully. I'd hate for Arcform to waste production resources on designs that can't actually be manufactured effectively. Her eyes narrowed slightly. We'll handle our production matters internally. Thank you. I do hope you'll remain discreet about company affairs moving forward. As she walked away, my phone buzzed with a text from Melissa. Contract's ready. We want to move fast on your weatherproof collection. I looked back at Vivian's retreating figure. She had no idea what was coming. 3 days later, I received a certified letter from Arcform's legal department. They were conducting a review of my employment record regarding possible confidentiality issues. The letter was worded cautiously, avoiding direct accusations, but hinting that I might have breached company policies. I brought the letter to Melissa, who passed it to Ridgeline's legal counsel. Typical scare tactic, their attorney said after going through it. They have no legal footing. The designs you're developing for us are original, and there's no non-compete agreement. They're just trying to intimidate you. Should I reply? I asked. No, we'll take care of it. That evening, Ridgeline's attorney sent a sharp and concise response to Arcform. We possess thorough documentation of Mr. Graves' previously rejected designs during his tenure at your company, including the submission dates and subsequent dismissals. We would welcome the opportunity to compare those against your current product development timeline in a court of law. 2 days passed with no response from Arcform. Then Peter called again. What did you do? He asked. Elena had a closed-door meeting with legal. She walked out looking like she'd seen a ghost. I didn't do anything, I said. Just watch your back, he warned. She's not letting this go. 2 days later, Thomas invited me to lunch. We met at a burger joint downtown, far from either of our offices. You need to see this, he said, sliding his tablet across the table after we ordered. It displayed Arcform's internal marketing brief for their fall collection. Somehow, Thomas had gotten access to it. I scrolled through and froze. The mock-ups were mine. The exact designs Elena had dismissed 6 months earlier. Now rebranded as the Elevation series, with Justin listed as the lead designer. They're planning to launch in September, Thomas said quietly. Full marketing push. Materials already ordered. The realization hit me like a punch to the chest. She'd turned down those designs, planning to use them later, without giving me any credit. Looks that way, Thomas nodded. But there's more. He took the tablet back and opened another document. Ridgeline is planning to fast-track your line. Melissa convinced the CEO to expedite production. They can have your designs on shelves by August. I leaned back, absorbing it. 1 month before Arcform's launch. Yes, he confirmed. And with full credit to you as the designer. Thomas looked me square in the eye. But you need to commit now. Once we begin production, there's no going back. I didn't hesitate. Let's do it. That evening, I called Melissa and officially agreed to Ridgeline's accelerated timeline. The contract included something Arcform had never offered, royalties on every unit sold featuring my designs, plus full creative control over the final product specifications. We're naming it the Summit Series, Melissa explained, and we want your name highlighted in the marketing. 2 days later, I finalized the paperwork at Ridgeline's headquarters and handed over my entire design archive. Not just initial concepts, but fully detailed production specifications, material breakdowns, and manufacturing guidelines. When I returned home, there was an email from Elena in my personal inbox. Tyler, I hope this message finds you well. I've been reviewing some of our upcoming designs and thought we might benefit from your insights in a consulting role. Would you be open to discussing this? I deleted it without replying. The following week, I toured Ridgeline's production facility with their manufacturing team. They'd never attempted anything like my modular system before, components that functioned independently, but truly excelled as an integrated whole. The lead engineer, Diane, pulled me aside after the walkthrough. These designs are groundbreaking, she said flatly, but they're also incredibly difficult to manufacture. If we're seriously hitting the August deadline, I need you on site daily. Whatever it takes, I told her. Over the next month, I worked 16-hour days. I even slept on a cot in the facility's office twice while we tested waterproofing components. The production crew began to respect me once they saw I grasped the real-world constraints they worked under. Unlike Elena, I didn't brush aside manufacturing concerns as someone else's issue. Midway through the process, another email landed in my inbox, this time from Vivian. We should speak about your current projects for the sake of your own professional reputation. Another veiled threat. Another ploy to control something they had willingly discarded. I forwarded the message to Ridgeline's legal counsel without comment and kept working. Ridgeline moved with incredible speed. Within 3 weeks, they had working prototypes of my weatherproof collection. I spent hours in their workshop refining each detail, collaborating directly with the manufacturing staff to ensure every element matched my exact standards. The Summit series included 5 interlocking items: a modular backpack, all-weather outerwear with detachable layers, adaptive footwear, ergonomic camping gear, and custom-fit accessories. Each item was functional on its own, but truly excelled as part of a coordinated system, something I'd tried, unsuccessfully, to get Arcform to understand for years. Melissa brought me into every marketing strategy session, something Elena never did, and listened when I described which practical features needed to be highlighted. These aren't fashion pieces, I told the team. They're tools for people who rely on their gear in demanding conditions. In late July, murmurs began rippling through the industry. Retailers who'd received early samples of the Summit series were impressed. Online communities buzzed with speculation about Ridgeline's sudden pivot. Then I got the call from Peter at Arcform. Tyler, did you? He stopped himself. Never mind. I shouldn't be asking. What's going on over there? I asked, though I already had a pretty good idea. Vivian saw Ridgeline's preview catalog. Peter said quietly. The Summit series is outstanding. Elena's in full meltdown mode, claiming we had ideas stolen. I said nothing. The thing is, Peter continued, we both know nothing was stolen. These are your original designs. The ones Elena rejected months ago. Am I wrong? I can't comment on that. I answered carefully. You don't need to, he replied. Your name's right there in the catalog. Designed by Tyler Graves, former lead designer at Arcform. It's brilliant. The next day, Vivian herself called. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was terse. Tyler, this is inappropriate. We need to discuss this situation immediately. Instead, I drove to Ridgeline's headquarters for the final product launch briefing. The marketing rollout was finalized. Manufacturing was ready to scale. In 2 weeks, the Summit series would hit select outdoor retailers across the country, 1 month ahead of Arcform's planned debut of their suspiciously familiar Elevation line. The night before launch, I couldn't sleep. 7 years at Arcform, dozens of prototypes, hundreds of sketches, everything had led to this. Not the path I expected, but maybe the one it had to be. At 5 o'clock in the morning, unable to rest, I drove to a trail on the outskirts of the city. The same trail where I'd tested many early Arcform prototypes. Dawn was just breaking as I climbed the ridge. The air was cool and damp, the exact conditions my weatherproof system was engineered for. My phone buzzed. A text from Melissa. It's live. Website just launched. First orders are already coming in. I stood there on that ridge, watching the sun rise, feeling a strange combination of vindication and regret. I hadn't wanted things to fall apart with Arcform. I gave them everything, but they'd chosen Elena's vision over mine, style over functionality. Now the market would decide whose approach held true value. By the time I made it back to my car, I had 17 missed calls, gear bloggers, outdoor writers, retail analysts, all trying to uncover the story behind Ridgeline's sudden innovation. And one message from Elena. You made a serious mistake. I finally called her back. No, I said when she picked up. You did. The Summit series officially launched on August 12th. By midday, Ridgeline's website had crashed twice due to overwhelming traffic. Their customer service lines were inundated with retailers trying to increase order quantities. I watched it unfold from Melissa's office, reading advanced reviews pouring in from outdoor publications. Revolutionary, game-changing, a new industry benchmark. My name appeared in every article. 3 days after the launch, Outside Magazine published a feature comparing the Summit series to leaked images of Arcform's upcoming Elevation collection. The headline said everything. Separated at birth. The curious case of 2 identical product lines. The article didn't outright accuse Arcform of theft, but it did raise concerns about the timeline, noting that I had created both collections, though Arcform was giving credit to Justin for their version. Outdoor forums erupted with speculation. Industry insiders who knew me from trade shows quickly connected the dots. Social media was flooded with side-by-side comparisons and sharp questions regarding intellectual property. Vivian called again. This time I answered. This is completely unacceptable, she began, skipping any greeting. You've intentionally sabotaged our company. I design products for a company that hired me to do just that. I responded evenly. Products are now selling under someone else's name, she snapped. We'll need to consider legal options. That would be interesting, I said. I have emails from Elena turning down these exact designs 6 months ago. What would a court think of the fact that you're now producing them under someone else's name? Silence stretched out between us. You should have appreciated what you had, I said softly. Good luck with your launch. The following week, Arcform announced a delay in releasing their Elevation series, citing the need for further refinement. Industry analysts saw it for what it was, a retreat. By October, the Summit series had shattered all previous first-quarter sales records for Ridgeline. My royalty checks reflected the success, already surpassing my yearly salary at Arcform. Melissa promoted me to design director, giving me a team of 6 designers and complete creative authority over our next 3 seasonal collections. Thomas transferred from the materials division to join my department, as the technical advisor. Artform eventually released a rushed, rework collection that barely resembled my original vision. The reviews were lukewarm at best. Their stock dropped by 8% in the following quarter. I ran into Elena at an industry conference in Denver that winter. She was sitting alone at the bar, nursing a drink when I passed by. "Congratulations on your success," she said, stopping me. Her voice held no warmth. I nodded, but didn't reply. "You could have stayed and fought for your designs," she continued. "Why didn't you?" I thought about it for a moment. "Some places just aren't worth the fight." She flinched slightly, then composed herself. "Vivian is stepping down next month," she said. "The board asked me to take over temporarily." I almost felt bad for her. Almost. "Good luck," I said and meant it. The industry needs strong companies. 6 months later, I received a surprise package. Inside were all of my original sketchbooks from my time at Artform, along with a handwritten note from Peter. "These belong to you. Elena's gone. Just thought you should know." I flipped open one of the books to a concept I'd sketched 3 years earlier, a modular tent system for extreme weather conditions, something I'd never even shared with Elena. That night, I called Melissa. "I have an idea for our winter collection," I told her. The following spring, Ridgeline stock value had doubled. Artform announced they were restructuring under new leadership. I didn't pay much attention to the headlines. I was too busy designing what came next. Sometimes at night, I still think about my years at Artform, not with resentment anymore, but with clarity. They taught me something important, though not what they intended. In this industry, and in life, your work speaks for itself when given the opportunity. Elena tried to suppress mine, but in doing so, she only amplified its voice. The best form of revenge wasn't proving her wrong. It was finally landing somewhere that recognized what I had always believed: that good design isn't about chasing trends. It's about solving real problems for real people. And that, in the end, is what truly lasts.